All right, welcome back to Trinity Coffee Break. I am super excited to have a good friend of mine with us today. I think he's my friend who happens to be just a celebrity, right? I mean, every now and then you got to have some famous celebrity come around.
I say it about you when people talk about our friendship. I say the same thing, like this famous pastor, author, athlete,
that's right.
Brian Mills. So.
Athlete, I like that. So I got SJ Tuohy with us today. Many of you might know SJ from the movie The Blind Side. He's the youngest member of the Tuohy family, and so many of you might remember him from that. He's now the assistant athletic director and the operations guy for Liberty University's football program there with Coach Hugh Freeze. And I got to know SJ when he was the assistant ops guy at the University of Arkansas underneath the leadership of Coach Chad Morris. So SJ, thanks for taking time. I know you're busy. I know y'all are having an unbelievable season this year. Top 25 there at Liberty.
Yeah.
I mean, come on. I think it's because you're there. You know, I think you've led them.
Yeah, it's the only reason, right? Not the kids, not the coaching staff. Just all the operations are so crisp and clean.
Yeah, that's awesome. Well, man, I'm really grateful you took a moment just to let our church meet you. I pray one day y'all are recruiting down here in Oklahoma and you'll come see us and be a part of our church one day. But SJ, why don't you take a moment? A lot of people watching do not know what an operations guy is. They hear, okay, he's the ops guy for a football program. What is, in just a short form, what is an ops guy?
Yeah, well, first, man, thanks for having me. It's good to talk to you, not on my Facebook comments like when I'm watching there. It's good to get a response from you. So ops guys, we call them DFO, right? Director of Football Ops. My old boss, Chad Morris, like you just said, used to call them the DFAs, which was the do freaking anything guys. So, I think our job is to make sure the team is where it's supposed to be, when it's supposed to be there, and they have everything they need once they get there, right? So we're budgeting, logistics, and background, and scheduling, and anything like that. So really anything from point A to point B with our team comes through me, whether that's recruiting or travel or budget or general, what time's practice tomorrow. So we kind of, like you said, behind the scenes, if we're in front of the scenes, we got problems. We're not doing a good job. If people know who your ops, if your team's ops guy, means their team's late to the game probably. So
yeah, that's right.
I wish one day we'll do a chat just about ops guys, and it'll be really boring and long. But today we just do logistics, we'll say.
Well, a lot of people just think, especially a big football program like Liberty, like Arkansas, or these big Big 12 here, they just show up at the game and play. But there's so much behind the scenes of what hotel are they staying in, what is the schedule in the hotel, how to get out of the hotel, get to the game, who scheduled the police escort, who scheduled the airplane.
It's like the hardest job in church is what, the youth pastor, right? So try to deal with 120 college kids every day, just making sure. Shoot, if we get the whole team wearing the same uniform at practice, that's a win to me.
Yeah, that's good.
Take away anything that they get, 120 college kids, gosh, I couldn't even make myself in college.
Yeah, it's pretty amazing. Well, let's talk about, let's switch a little bit, and let's just talk about growing up in the Tuohy household. A lot of people know you from The Blind Side. You have an amazing brother named Michael Orr, who your family adopted, and they turned it into this amazing, inspirational story. You're a key figure in that story, obviously, as a young boy back then, but still pretty spunky and spirited all the way back then. And so why don't you just let people see that side of you, the growing up in the Tuohy household and kind of leading up to being a part of that movie?
Well, I'm blessed with my family, man. I have a lot of good role models, which is so important. I mean, that's why I think I got into what I do now, is to try to be something like that for maybe someone that didn't get as fortunate to me to grow up in that situation. Because to watch my dad and my brother, and really my sister and mom too in their own ways, but do things the right way a lot of the time. And I always tell a story, but I remember like Mike playing sports in high school and me thinking, wow, like high school sports are the best. Like if I can ever get to that point, I'll be so lucky. And then you get to high school and it's like, man, if I can get to college, man, this guy had so much fun. That's how he lived his life. My dad's the same way. He wasn't a big, super hard on you, super in your face guy, kind of like the movie would depict him correctly. But he does things. He leads our family the right way and makes decisions. I think faith-based and what's best for our family. And he never said, "Hey, this is what I'm doing, guys. Everyone look at me." But you watch him do those things, and kind of, so I got lucky in that regard for sure. Now, as it pertains to Blind Side, I wish we were smart enough to. Everyone's like, "Oh, you guys, made a movie about this," and I know we didn't do that. We were not that smart. We were some dumb white rednecks from Tennessee who got lucky into the situation. So
anybody who knows your family, by the way, knows y'all are not dumb white rednecks.
I don't know about that. But
Yeah,
that story came together. You talk about it was like 5 years of time in a 2-hour movie, so it's hard to delve into it so much. But I'm glad that people find inspiration about that. I don't think we did anything that was unordinary. People do a lot more than our family did for foster kids, and we're very passionate about giving kids opportunities. I think now, still to this day, but
y'all still have a program today, right? That helps with
make you have a foundation, and we had that before. And Mike we got so lucky with him that he is who he is and how he was. But I think that there are families that have way better stories than ours. So we just happened to fall into this whole movie deal. So we are fortunate that is a source of inspiration for some people. Some people don't like it. That's good for them too. I mean, I don't like it myself personally. I look like a little fifth grader with no teeth and running around. And I'm 27 now. So oh, you're in fifth grade? Like, no, I'm old. So, I have my qualms with it as well. But people who love it, that's good for them, man. I think that's great. Yeah. And we try to make the best of that.
So here's the question, and I've asked you this before, so I kind of know the answers, but did the movie did it display you well when you were a little boy?
Man, you always say, I don't know, I wish not, but I think people say that it did. You asked my brother, I'm sure I was that obnoxious. You asked my mom and dad, I'm sure I was more obnoxious.
Yeah.
But, I was a curious kid. I wanted to be involved in everything. I still do, right? That's why I do ops. I want to be involved in everything. I want to be part of the deal, so. Sadly, maybe so, but I'm going to stick with the answer of no.
I think it probably did, though, Hey, listen, so talk about you grew up in an amazing home. You got a great mom and dad, like you just mentioned. And I love how you were talking about there's things as parents, and I think about, I got a boy named Parker and a girl named McKenna, and I think about raising them, and both my kids, but I think about raising them, and one day on the backside, I want my kids to look back and say, my parents invested in us. They loved us. Not saying they were perfect, not saying they had it all right, but there was some things there, and keep the family tight. And so for people watching, and just off the top of your head, what are a couple things your parents did along the way that brought y'all to the point today that y'all are still a really close family? You got really faith-based. Y'all love the Lord. You've got a great foundation in the home, and also your mom and dad set that.
So one, I'll say we got problems. I mean, every family's got problems, right? Our church families do, real family. We have our own stuff too. I think my parents. I would say, again, I can answer this question. That's a great question. I could go all day, but a couple things that strike me immediately when you say it that come to my mind. Is someone would tell our recruiting department here, hey, if you're not talking to these high school kids, another school is talking to them. Yeah. Every day we don't talk to a recruit. I promise someone talked to them that day. That's the same way I think with parents is if you're not communicating to your kids, somebody is. And I think my parents did a really good job of constantly pouring into me. Maybe it wasn't a whole lot of we weren't doing a devotion every day, or we weren't doing this but I didn't get information from the world about things that I hadn't already probably got from my parents. And I think that was a blessing looking back on, man. Mm-hmm. I think I learned things the right way coming up to an extent. Now I didn't listen sometimes probably. But if as a family, man, if you're not the one giving the information, we're gonna get it from somewhere, right?
Yep, that's right.
That, and I think that you said it one day at Cross Church where you used to preach was, are we setting a good example of how we prioritize our time? I think you gave a reference of a Sunday noon baseball game or 11 a.m. Little League game. Are you telling your kid, hey, this is more important than church, or this is more important? Whatever it is, it don't have to be necessarily faith-based. I mean, it can be whatever you're prioritizing. But how you prioritize things in your family is how your kids are going to prioritize. I was thankful that my dad prioritized work a lot, and it wasn't it wasn't work like, oh, he's never home. But this is how you do your job. This is how you should, how you should work hard at things. And I saw that and go, man, he thinks this is important. I need to do some of these things. And my brother, the same way, he prioritized being a good teammate and being a good older brother and doing things he was supposed to do. So when I got to that point, I went, man, this is important. These guys have worked out. I got to do the same thing. So initially, those would be my two responses.
Yeah, that's good.
I mean, how you lead your family, right? It's the direction that your kids are going to go. Is if you constantly are missing Wednesday night church for me, it was piano lessons. My mom had made me do that dang piano lesson. I hated it. I didn't want to do it.
Man, I'd love to hear you. I've never heard you play the piano.
You don't want to, but
yes, I do. Man, I'm going to bring you in.
I know you don't want to do this, but this is how we're going to do it. You're not going to miss basketball practice every week. Like, we had a game. I went to the game, right? I mean, but you're not going to miss every week to your piano lesson. You're going to do it. I think I'm thankful for things like that.
That's pretty cool. So you're also a student of leadership. I mean, obviously in your job, you're a leader. You're a student of leadership. You read a lot of books. You're working on your doctorate. I believe you're still working on it, right? You haven't
about a year left, hopefully.
So congratulations on that, by the way. I'll call you Dr. Tuohy just here in a year from now. From that point forward, I mean, just what I got to do.
Yeah, Coach Dr. Mr. Tuohy to you.
But you are a great student of leadership, and you're in a leadership culture. Many people know, when you get in a major football program, it's the leadership culture. So what are some leadership things you've learned? You've transitioned from Arkansas to Liberty. What are a couple leadership processes you've learned along the years that you just say, these are some markers? I mean, when you go recruiting, you are leading some high-level athletes, and
sure,
you got to keep pushing them forward as a leader. What's a couple leadership thoughts that really strike home with you?
Man, I'll ramble and talk 45 minutes about that. It's important. I think the main thing for college kids, and really, I mean, for a lot of people in the place of work, is we're so tempted to fall into like transactional leadership of saying, hey, here's an incentive, right? If you make an A on this test, fifth grader, you can go to the movie with your girlfriend. Or if you college kid, if you don't show up to miss any classes and you get a week off practice, whatever it may be. But eventually, or maybe that can be fear, right? Coaches will yell at kids. I think we all have coaches that have yelled at us and done, not necessarily yelling is always bad, but things that are short term, and there's no form of stability with that. And that's one thing with our kids, that if you constantly are giving them incentives or trying to motivate them with fear or motivate them with something that changes, that runs out, right? What does fear do when fear leaves the room? You go back to acting how you were acting.
Yeah.
So we try to be transformational leaders, and a lot of that's through servant leadership, and that's the most
that's good.
sustainable way to do it. There's other ways you probably can, but I think John Gordon, who's I think is, sometimes his books aren't great for me, but sometimes really good, and he gives a great illusion of a tree, an apple tree. He says, if you just grow this tree up and all you're worried about is picking up all the fruit, eventually the tree's going to die. But if you keep, taking care of the root and the base of the tree, which is, the culture of your church or the culture of your program, the culture of your family, whatever it may be, your tree will keep producing fruit, but it's got to be process-oriented and not results-oriented. And we live in a world now where people want results. So it's hard to stick to that process, but just a commitment to, man, doing what got you there instead of going, okay, now I achieve some achievements I want to achieve. Let's start doing what we want to do. And that's tough.
Yeah, it's really a great word, man. I'd love to, if we had time, I'd love to unpack it more because, as you know, I love the topic of leadership as well and just growing and learning. And it's one thing I loved, back at the University of Arkansas when I'd just come sit in your office and we'd have great conversations. And
I learned a lot more than that when I did my doctorate. I mean, talking to you for 10 minutes.
I definitely know that's not true, but I appreciate the confidence. Well, man, is there anything you'd like to say, just kind of as we wrap this up, and that you would just say as an encouragement to the people watching? I mean, we're in a time. One reason we started Trinity Coffee Break is we want just to put a positive word out there online.
Sure.
And plenty of negativity out there. We can critique people, condemn people, trash people, do all that, but we just want to have a positive word centered around the Word of God, centered around the gospel, to love people well online. And so any encouraging words you could just give as we kind of wrap this up?
I'll steal from Coach Freeze, man, my boss, and he gets mad at me, and I tell my staff that works for me here the same thing too, and I don't know when this will air, it's, it could be election based, or anything, but we always talk about in our program, our culture is play the next play, right? Playing the next play. And that applies a lot more to football than it does. In my job, everything is not going to go smooth. I'm sure yours is even more so. But a bus will be late, or a meal might be ready on time, or something. All right, what's the next play we can make? And in football, you're on defense. They give up a 72-yard run. It's easy to go, oh, shoot, we messed this thing up. All right, well, they're on the 6-yard line now. We're about to go score. You got to play the next play. And I said this about the election on Twitter last night. I kind of joked that we have there's 8 zeros before, so I don't know how little of a percentage that is, but 0.0000007% impact on the election with our vote, which is important to vote. That's great. Yep. But you got 100% control over your response on how we do things going forward. The next play, right? Someone's going to score a touchdown when they figure out these results and have their guy they wanted to be present. Someone's going to have given up a big score and go, man, we missed it. Either way, the next play's coming. And it doesn't stop. And if it does, we got bigger problems. Yep. So that'd be my encouragement, man, is look, there's always the next play is coming. And I think as a 27-year-old single guy Christian, I mess up, man, so much, but it's easy then if I mess up once to go, okay, well now I'll start back in a month. No, man, what's the next play you can make to get you back on track? Because also you make a couple plays, you go momentum, man, you get good plays going. So that'd be my word, is just keep playing it and see what happens, man.
Yeah, it's an encouraging word, because you think a lot of people, no matter where you're at in your stage of life, they've been hit at some point.
Sure.
And I would probably say most people have been hit today, or they've been hit yesterday. And there's this moment in their life that they get to choose whether they get up from the hit or not. It's like the quarterback who took the big hit. He gets to choose if he's going to stand up most of the time, right?
We tell our college kids, it's hard. If you tell a 19-year-old kid, think of 18-year-old Brian, and I tell 18-year-old Brian, hey, Brian, you can't mess up for 6 months. Okay, the whole season you got to work out every single day, and you got to eat right every single day, and you can't get in trouble. You got to make all A's. You got to do all this. It's hard to do for 6 months in a row. But if you tell someone, hey, man, for one day, I just need you to do it for today, and tomorrow we'll decide again, man. Let's make the choice daily. It becomes a lot more manageable. And I think, man, in faith, that's the same way. It's a daily choice.
Yeah, that's a good word, man. Every single day you wake up and say, I'm going to live for Jesus, or I'm not. Every day you get to play the next play.
And there are days we mess it up, right? I mean, we're not perfect every day. But thank God, tomorrow morning I'm going to choose it, best I can.
That's good. Well, SJ, man, I know you're busy. I know y'all have got a game coming up. And so I'm thankful that you took a few moments of your time to invest it into our people, invest it into Trinity, invest it in everybody who is a part of Trinity Coffee Break. So really grateful for your time.
No problem.
Man.
Thank you for having me. I'm just investing in case Parker becomes like a D1, like a high 5-star basketball recruit. We got the inside track on. That's the only reason I'm taking the time for Richie McKay and the basketball program to make sure.
Yeah, that's great. I appreciate that. He's working hard. He's had a pretty good year at quarterback. He's having a good time. So,
oh my gosh, genes, man, it's genetics.
Yeah, it's just I gave it all to him. not a chance. Well, man, thank you for everybody watching. Thanks for being a part of Trinity Coffee Break today. Grateful. And remember this, play the next play. Just keep going, stay faithful, keep loving Jesus, get up from getting hit, get up from your failure, and play the next play and trust the Lord in the journey.